Alrighty, actually, yes, it is afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, good night, whatever. Whatever time of the day you're listening. Welcome to the last episode of 2020 for the Sunshine Reformer podcast. We have had, it's been a little bit of a bumpy ride, but so far it's been pretty well received, I think. And we've got a lot of new listeners and stuff, which is really great. My name is Greg.
And I'm Gabriel.
And thanks for checking in. And so today, I don't want to call it like Hopecast 2.0, but there has been some stuff that has happened since the last episode. And of course, both good and bad, I think. And there's some hope in the future, I think, headed into 2021. And so we're going to talk about all that kind of stuff, talk about what's happening in the firearm world, which is not a very good thing, but again, there's kind of hope-ish on the horizon there too. And so we're going to kind of just start talking and kind of go from there. I'm wearing a very festive shirt because this past week I've been to like 3 different holiday-ish type parties where, it is the season. So I thought I'd look a little more festive today.
I don't really have a festive shirt. Most of my wardrobe is black and gray.
Yeah.
I don't need to be wearing Amber's festive clothes.
Most of my clothing is also kind of colorless and whatever, but Amber bought me this shirt to just wear to parties this week, so we've been having a good time with it. And so you didn't know, Gabe. I just kind of decided this on my own, and that's okay. But I thought it'd look good on camera.
It does look good. It's a nice looking shirt.
Thank you.
It's got that Christmas down south in the Keys kind of vibe.
Exactly. They call it a Florida sweater. It's made by Tommy Bahama, if anybody's wondering. And I got it very steeply discounted because, of course, I don't pay retail for anything if I can avoid it.
Got to get it cheap.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so we're going to move on. So today I'm going to be talking about, like I said before, there's a big, giant piece of news that's going on right now in the firearms world, which is that the ATF, there's some speculation as to like why everything's happening now. And like, of course, most of the right-wing folks are talking about that Biden's administration is involved. But the TLDR is that the ATF is basically going after like probably 7 or 8 years. I think they said SB Tactical has been in business since 2012. And which is kind of like the big name in pistol braces. But they're basically finally now going after, or I should say, trying to come up with legislation against short-barreled rifles, pistol braces, the whole, fuck show that is the ATF's designation of what is a pistol and what is a rifle and yada, 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 and whatever. So they're basically adding some fuel to that low and slow fire that's been burning for 8 years. And
you think we could take that to the Supreme Court?
It's maybe. What I was going to say about it is, well, first of all, just bring up the link.
Yeah, I've got it up.
We'll look at what this is called, the Firearms Blog. I like what they do, generally speaking. They don't really get political too much, which is nice. They kind of just talk about guns and that's it. But of course, this is kind of a political thing, so they're talking about it anyways because it still has to do with guns. So it says here, the ATF, they've released what their objective factors are for classifying weapons with stabilizing braces. It says from December 18th, 2020, which was just a couple days ago, to January 4th, 2021, the ATF is accepting formal comments, which we'll get into that also, unless it probably talks about it here. On the proposed rulemaking entitled Objective Factors for Classifying Weapons with Stabilizing Braces, the proposal sets forth a series of criteria that would be used to evaluate firearms as either pistols with attached stabilizing braces or firearms that should be regulated by the National Firearms Act, otherwise known as the NFA. In reference to firearms with attached stabilizing braces already in possession by individuals, the ATF is suggesting either NFA registration, which is what you have to do for suppressors and automatic firearms, removing the brace device for destruction, or replacing the barrel with one that is required minimum for the platform, which is 16 inches for rifles and 18 inches for shotguns. Submitted comments on objective factors for classifying weapons with stabilizing braces should be respectful and free of profanity. So they're basically allowing the public to like weigh in on this kind of thing. I just wanted, before I got ahead of myself, I just wanted to read. I'll just sum it up of what I've already know. So basically, this comment section on the ATF.gov website is in order to leave a comment, you need to provide all of your personal information, which it's kind of like
it's like you're a drug dealer, and it's like you legally have to submit all of your income on an IRS tax return, even so.
Right.
It's like just turn yourself in.
Exactly. So it's you're effectively just, so me personally, I don't own anything that would be covered in this situation. I would like to own, like a 10.5-inch AR-15, for example, or something like that. I don't currently own anything like that. My AR is standard 16-inch. It does have an adjustable stock in the back, of course. And I know, Gabriel, your AR is a little bit longer because you were trying to go extra legal on it or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was 18. I didn't want any second guessing on how long my AR was.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny, but it is what it is. But I do know people, of course, that, personally, that I won't disclose who they are right here publicly that have what they are describing as either short-barreled rifles, pistols, or whatever you want to call it. So that's kind of a big red flag for me, is that you'd have to give all your information to even make this, give a comment or whatever they're calling it. So this goes on to say, it says, as the purpose of the NFA is to regulate certain weapons to be used for criminal purposes, United States versus Thompson Center Arms from 1992, the ATF cannot ignore the design features of a firearm that place it within the scope of the NFA's regulation simply because the manufacturer characterizes or markets a firearm accessory in a manner that does not correspond to its objective design. So that kind of talks about SB Tactical. So there's a company called SB Tactical, which is kind of at the center of this whole spiel situation because they are pretty much the largest manufacturer of pistol braces, also just regular rifle stocks for AR-15s, and that kind of thing. And so that is they're talking about their marketing and how they sell you, whatever their marketing talk is, however they describe it, the product on their website or whatever, doesn't matter, because what matters is what the ATF, description is. So that they're saying that they might have led people to believe that their accessories were legal when they weren't. But again, this company has been. I watched an interview briefly. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I just got enough information that I think it was a different website that interviewed the CEO or whatever of SB Tactical, and he basically said that they've been in business since 2012. They've obviously been talked about a lot because of this kind of thing, because this situation has been on the books since then, but they haven't really gone after it. They haven't really enforced it and all that kind of stuff. And then here we go, Biden, is elected, and But 2012, Barack Obama was president. So I don't know. As far as all that kind of stuff goes, I don't really know. Allegedly, that's what happened is that the ATF, high up members of the ATF met with members of Biden's administration, and now this is happening. So that's why a lot of speculation is there about Biden doing good on what his campaign promises were and what his website says.
I mean, he even said that he wouldn't use an executive order to do anything with guns because, like, you really can't with executive orders. You have to go through other means because the Supreme Court would just knock down any executive order that you'd put out.
Yeah, and that's why, like, for this whole time that we've been talking about this. So this is my take on it. This is the situation. So there's the ATF saying one thing. There are people like the Firearms Blog. There's like I mentioned them before, the Firearms Policy Coalition. They're the actual people that like get into like legal. They have lawyers on their staff and stuff that get into like the legislation and like fight these.
They're doing what the NRA was supposed to do.
Exactly. Yeah. They're still a little like on the chuddy side, and I'm like, I appreciate what they're doing, but they have a little bit of a conservative twinge to them, which I don't love, but they are fighting the good fight, so to speak. Yeah. So it's whatever. But anyways, my take on this whole thing is I believe that there are enough people like the FPC, and there are other organizations like them, but they're just the biggest one. There are enough people in that arena that are fighting these kinds of things that I really don't think much will come of this. I mean, if anybody in the Biden administration is doing their homework, they should know that while there were 70 whatever million votes for Trump, there's probably twice as many gun owners in America. I would imagine on the order of somewhere between 140 and 150 million Americans own guns. I think that's close. Don't quote me on that, but it's a lot. It's a lot of people that own a lot of guns. Mm-hmm. Many of these guns are like this, in this category. There's millions of them out there. Since 2012, for sure, those guns have been purchased in massive quantities.
Well, there are more guns in the U.S. than there are people.
That's true. So it's like, yes.
I wonder, like how effective this would end up being implemented if it did get implemented. Oh yeah, everybody turn yourself in. Give like
right. There's not going to be. No one's going to want to register their gun. No one's going to want to destroy their pistol brace that's stuck on the back of their gun, and nobody's going to want to do a buyback or any of this garbage, whatever. And if anything like that really ever went through and became law in any way, I honestly believe that there would be widespread violence. And that kind of brings me to my next point. There's already been, there's already been backlash from this kind of thing, and people calling for violence and all this stuff. There's a video that I watched the other day, and I know I should be sourcing all this stuff, but it's out there if you guys just like search for, ATF fuckery or whatever, just into YouTube. All the gun tubers are talking about it. But there was a guy who made a video. It was titled something along the lines of like, if the ATF knocks on your door, like, what do you do? And I'm watching this thing, and like, of course, all of these people are pro-police and, Blue Lives Matter kind of folks. And it just really kind of makes me laugh because ATF agents, no matter what you want to believe about them, they are federal agents, and they carry a lot more weight than the local police or sheriff's department, whatever. And if they come knocking on your door and you give them resistance, they will fuck your life up, And that's like in the video, the guy's like, "Oh, of course I'm pro law enforcement and I believe in." Law and order.
Contradictory, blah, blah, blah. Like BS, man.
And I'm like, homie, what are you saying right now? Like,
he loves the taste of that boot.
Yeah, exactly. It's a complete contradiction, and obviously I'm not for this happening. I'm pretty upset about that this is happening right now, but I'm also not really pro police either, for several reasons. So I don't know. It's just a big ugly monster of a mess, and it's happening. But my ultimate prediction is that anything that they try to introduce legislatively, like you said, I don't think any of this is going to head to the Supreme Court or make it that far or whatever. Um, I really hope that this is just
Well, yeah,
one of those.
especially now that the conservatives are packed in the Supreme Court, like that. I don't think this would even make a substantial. I don't think it'd be seen.
Yeah.
Like they
Well,
kind of did themselves in that one.
there's lower courts that I think will handle this kind of thing. I don't think it's going to be like a close, you know, vote if there's more. What am I trying to say? It's not gonna get to the point where the Supreme Court has to handle it, because I think there's going to be other people in lower courts that'll knock
Yeah.
it down, whatever. So, and hopefully at the end of everything, obviously a lot of people are calling for well, there is a hashtag to fund the ATF or abolish the ATF.
How ironic.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh
I
my God.
We've talked about it before. We like the term reform or reformation. I just think there needs to be a complete, ground up reformation of the ATF. I think the ATF should exist in some degree to regulate some stuff within the firearms world, but they just need to get it to be a little more common sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think the NFA should be abolished and gotten rid of, and they just need to change other things that I'm not going to get into now. But
what I'm
that's
really
kind
hung up on is like the way that they're going about of describing objective use.
Mhm.
I take so much quarrel with like anytime someone tries to like objectively define something. I don't know. And then also like the way they go about it with these bullet points, as being part of their way of defining it, like the type and caliber. I'm like, okay, well maybe this is something like maybe the muzzle velocity is coming into play here, but then it's like the type and caliber of firearm to which the stabilizing brace or similar item is installed, a large caliber firearm that is impracticable to fire with one hand because of the recoil or other factors, even with an arm brace, is likely to be considered a rifle or shotgun. That's
that right there. That goes right after 300 blackout and like 7.62 kind of stuff, because those are 30 caliber bullets. But 300 blackout, I have fired a 300 blackout pistol. That's what I'll call
So
it.
I have a question. I have a
And
question for you.
It's not that bad. What's up?
Do you think you can shoot your AR with one hand?
Yeah, I mean the gun itself weighs like 6.5, 7 pounds. So you could though, yeah.
It's fairly light. I think a lot of people could probably shoot it with one hand, especially the
Yeah.
smaller ones. Like before
Right.
you even get into what they used to qualify as a pistol. I don't know if they're changing that
Right.
or not. But like would that now be a pistol?
Yeah.
Because if you can shoot, because 223 has almost no recoil. You know, it's just like dink dink. It's like it's really light. So like
Yeah. No, 223 even out of something as like I've never shot. Well, no, I've never shot anything. You can get a 5.56 AR pistol in something as short as like a 3.5 inch barrel, which is shorter. That's like the same size as my handgun. That's the same. And it is a smaller bullet, but it's a much larger case, of course.
Yeah, more gunpowder behind it. But I just feel like
it's going to be loud, but you could shoot it with one hand.
I feel like with their loose, just this first one, of course they have like 15 here, but the first one with the type and caliber, where it's like they're making it you can shoot it with one hand, or it's impractical to shoot uh, without the use of two hands or something. I don't know. I
But
don't. I feel like that's such a loose
the,
definition of that.
right. The thing that is not definitive, like you just said, I know people, I've met people, especially in the military, there's guys that I've met that are like 6'5", 6'6", 350 pounds with giant mitt hands,
Mm-hmm.
oven mitts, and just big people that are in the military that do PT tests and whatever that meet all the standards for being in the military. And those people, I guarantee you, could shoot these things one hand. They could probably shoot,
Dual wield.
330 Iowa, or like, you know, I think the largest pistol that they probably make is probably 308. I've never looked for one or like whatever, but it might exist. Comment below if you've ever seen one. But the largest caliber I've ever seen in a pistol form is 7.62 and 300 blackout. 7.62 is a little bit more spicy than a 300 blackout, and I've shot a shortened version of that as well, and those hit pretty hard as far as recoil. But again, if you've got a person that's 6'5" and a giant, sized man or
Yeah.
woman, they could easily shoot one, I think.
Which is a little bit more
Um,
common than you think. 6 feet is not that hard to hit in the United States. There's a lot of people who hit 6 feet really easy or close to it. I'm
Yeah.
5'10". I'm only 2 inches away from being 6 foot. So
Yeah, I'm 5'11". I can handle. Well, yeah, I've never really had a problem with any kind of rifle recoil in general, even shortened ones. But we, just as an example, we went to Shooters World a little while ago with my friend Todd, and he had some like crazy shotgun. He had a shotgun and he had some crazy loads for it that really kicked. And there was one guy, the RSO that was there at the time. He was a Marine, and again, a big bulky dude. Probably 300 pounds. 6'2" or 3", whatever he was, just a giant
a
man.
massive piece of meat with some bones.
Yes, and he just picked this thing up and he shot it like an AR-15, like it was nothing, and it
That's
was like
awesome.
blowing my shoulder out. So like, yeah, stuff like this, the objective, or subjective, whatever you want to call it.
Like
Uh,
if you can't measure it, you can't call it objective. That's
yeah,
my issue is like, and that's why I think last time we were talking about like, wouldn't it be better to just like measure this kind of stuff with like the muzzle velocity with X caliber equals
mhm,
whatever. Like if it falls within this range, it would be,
right. Hold on.
whatever, and then the other, because that you can measure that. That's objective. You can
Right.
measure muzzle velocity of a round, you know, and
Yeah.
we know that
Absolutely.
increasing the barrel length increases muzzle velocity. So the closer it is to what we consider a rifle, the more like a rifle the bullet's going to behave, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and honestly, if this was Greg's ATF, I probably would go towards something that before. I'm not sure if I mentioned that on the show, but I've talked to people about this before, like what my designations would be as far as like what is a rifle, what is a pistol,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, my designation for a rifle would be if you can basically anything that's like in the AR style. So I would just describe in the best way that I could, the flip safety, um, the whatever the magazine release is. I would have to come up with a good way to describe that versus just a regular handgun. Um,
Oh, you
because
also
to
got to
me,
think about all of the like bolt action and like even older stuff, something like a Mosin Nagant or, you
yeah,
know.
right. And you would have, I think there would be a difference. I mean, there's a clear difference between a magazine fed semi-automatic rifle.
And
I,
like a
I know,
marksman type rifle too, because those would be
yeah,
Yeah,
right, and like you just said, like a lever action or a bolt action.
that's a good
Um,
point.
Even the stuff that has like internal magazines. Like I just shot an SKS the other day for the first time,
How was
and
that?
those things are really cool. It's 7.62 rounds that are on a stripper clip. You push them down into the gun, and then it's basically an internal magazine, and you
Do you have to
just
tip it?
tip what?
Because it's a stripper clip. It's tip the stripper clip. Sorry, it was a bad joke.
I'm about to throw my water at the screen, Gabriel.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
I wasn't ready for that one.
Nobody's ready for the dad jokes.
That's okay. Um, no, I didn't. But I thought you were like talking about like some like way to shoot.
I'm sorry. It's completely derailed.
You're fine. I'll get back to it. It's okay. Let me just take a sip. Um, but much like a shotgun, which I still would classify differently as a rifle. I mean, it's still a rifle, but it's shotgun is a subcategory.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an internal magazine. You just shove it's like 10 rounds, I think, or whatever, and you put the bolt home, and then you just literally fire like semi-automatic, normal. That would be in the same category as an AR-15 because you just pull the trigger once, and you don't have to do bolt action or pulling the action every shot. So those would be my different categories. I would literally barrel length would not matter, length of pull would not matter. All this other crap.
Oh yeah. They have really stupid stuff like attachment method.
Yeah, that wouldn't matter. It would matter how that
peripheral accessories. Peripheral accessories. That is the thing that they're going to have as an objective qualifier. That one threw me for a loop. Personally.
None of that would matter to me. Secondary grip wouldn't matter. To me, a rifle, anything from I don't think you can get any lower than 3 inches on one of these things. But it wouldn't barrel length would be irrelevant. All of this stuff would be irrelevant. It would probably come down to, for me, like I said, if it operates in the AR style, which I'd have to define. Same thing with the AK-47. That would be the same thing. SKS, the Ruger 1022. Those are all magazine-ish fed type, semi-automatic rifles. That would be my definition. Caliber would be tough because technically 22 long rifle and 223 5.56 are actually not that different. I mean, the size of the bullet is different, but diameter is not.
Oh my god, I keep punching my microphone. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I can't hear anything.
Okay, well, that's good. It sits really low, so like every time I like try to go reach for my cup, I hit it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, so I'd have to come up with a definition for caliber. I don't know. I'd have to spend some time on doing it, but my designations would be very, very different than the current ones, of course. And I think a lot of people would agree with me as well on that. But I just want to cover that because that's kind of a big deal right now, and politically it's well, in my world it's bipartisan, but I know a lot of there's still a lot of left-leaning people that don't own firearms or don't care.
It's really like the liberally kind of people who really don't have the flavor for the firearm stuff. I know there's a liberal gun club, and they're not exactly the most popular left-leaning gun group. So
right. Yeah, it is what it is. But that's what we're trying to do is spread the word and just let people know that guns aren't scary.
Yeah, and that this ATF thing is stupid.
Exactly. So that is that, and then I'll just cover the other thing really quickly, which is the
message from federal.
Yeah, the ammo shortage. Let me just kind of get that up here on my end. Sorry.
Oh, I have it paused at the 0 second marker, and his face is like,
Yeah, exactly. All right, so this doesn't have the right. Is it Jason Vanderbrink? I think that's it.
Jason Vanderbrink on ammo demand.
Yeah, so he is the president of the company. So Federal makes CCI, obviously Federal. They make Remington. They make a bunch of ammo, basically. And it's all typically it's pretty high quality. CCI makes pretty much the best 22 long rifle ammo there is. They
Federal in
make
general is just like really decent quality. Like if you ever get a new gun and you just want to like kind of figure out, you could just like go get a box of Federal, and it's like that's probably what the gun is going to do almost every time with almost any other
yeah,
kind of ammo.
yeah. They do a really good job. And so, obviously with this ammo shortage, I just wanted to briefly touch on this. So he made this video. He goes over basically, how he's like sick and tired of hearing all the rumors and whatever, and it's like I basically confirmed my theories all along, was just that it's tough for them to get raw materials because of COVID and
Mm-hmm.
shipping and everything. It's also tough just in general, also with COVID, because they've reduced their workforce. But then he goes on later to say in the video that they've actually hired more people, and that a big thing for uh, why it's taking so long is because it takes a long time to train people to make ammo. Because ammo is not, I can't, it's not difficult to make on a small scale, but on a large scale, I can imagine it is.
You need really good quality control.
Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff that goes into it, and so just training people the right way. I think he mentioned there's like a 6-month training program or something that they have to do for new people. So that's a big deal. That's a lot of time for training someone, even if it's like on the job training, like while they're working while
Mm-hmm.
training. So
Because you're learning a
and that,
skill. You're not just like learning like to like serve or something.
right,
You're
right.
learning a skill that is actually like uh
That's kind of a big
it's
deal.
a you're trained late. You're what is it, skilled labor at that point, you know?
Yeah, I think they also make. I could be wrong, but I think they make spear also. And
Yeah, it says
spear,
spear in the title.
so spear is pretty much the number one police um, issued ammunition. They make hollow points, of course, for defensive ammo. And if you're like making, any ammo has to be done correctly, but especially if like the military and police, of course, are relying on your product, then you have to have good quality control, like you said. So I just thought that was a good, high quality video showing, the president of this company saying this is what's happening. We're not like stockpiling anywhere or selling to only certain vendors, or like, I don't know. There's a bunch of shitty rumors out there, of course, because people are people. But my estimation, I have been seeing a lot more ammo at the stores, even as recent as a couple days ago. I bought you a box of ammo,
Thank you.
and you're welcome.
Your wife said she
And
got the she got the payment, so thanks for
yeah,
picking
she
that
did.
up.
No problem.
That was like the best price I've seen on five on well 223/556 like
Right.
in a long time, you know.
Yeah. So that was about 50 cents a round with tax. Which, yeah, like you said, is really good
I
for
mean,
five.
I
It's
literally bought like 70 rounds 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, and I paid like $85-$90 for it.
mm, yeah.
For 70 rounds. Yeah. So
And so
that's
this
such a
was
better
this was
price.
200. This was 200 rounds for $100. which is not, obviously it's not the cheapest I've ever seen it, but it's the cheapest I've seen it in recent times.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's good news to see that that's in stock. They had 22 again. The thing for me, obviously, is when 9 millimeter starts staying on the shelves, that's going to be a really good sign. I I don't have an honest prediction when that's going to happen, but I do have a friend of mine locally who has an ammo press, and I just went to his house last night to play Magic, and he's got two separate presses, one set up for 9 millimeter and one set up for 5.56. So we're going to start production next Tuesday. Um, I'm not going to. We're probably not going to be doing a lot of sales until we, excuse me, figure out how to be producing at a high volume. We're going to try to knock out 1,000 rounds that day, and I'm going to go test. I already test fired some that he's already pressed, and they all ran perfectly through my Canic.
That's good.
Full size, and so that was great. So I'm really excited about making ammo. Obviously, that market is also really scarce right now.
Oh, it's starting to cut out.
Primers and reloading stuff is going to get back in stock.
You're cutting out really hard.
Gabriel.
Yes.
We're back.
Whew, we're back.
All right. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Christmas Eve. Everybody's off. Well, the day before Christmas Eve.
Exactly. What was I just talking about? Oh, yeah, ammo. So, yeah, we're going to just start doing our own little production run. Like I said, if we can start to get reloading components and all that kind of stuff going, and I need to be, he's going to teach me everything I need to know about loading 9. He said he's never loaded 5.56 before, but obviously it's not too difficult of a process, or not too different of a process than the 9 millimeter. And then he's got a 300 blackout. Well, I'll call it a rifle for legal purposes. And in Minecraft or whatever. And so he wants to start loading 300 as well. So once we get stuff going, I plan on going over there at least once a week to press. I can easily press 1,000 rounds at a time of whatever caliber it is in a couple hours. So that's going to be my goal. And then I'll start going to the range more, and we'll just have ammo for people. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. And it's annoying still, but I do see signs of ammo becoming a little more available now.
Well, it's kind of like been a shock for everybody, like to wake up, like, oh my gosh, maybe that caliber that I was relying on for whatever scenario isn't really a reliable caliber. It's made me rethink a lot. So.
Well, you mean like reliably available?
Yeah, like reliably available.
Oh yeah.
So it's made me really rethink, like, maybe I shouldn't get like 9 mil. Maybe I should focus on maybe a slightly more obscure caliber, or maybe I shouldn't be like into 223, 5.56. Maybe I should look into like something else, because my idea is like I want the most efficiency out of my setups as possible, and that also means like being able to like actually use it. And I haven't really been able to use my stuff because it's like I can't afford the ammo at the time that it's available, or it's just not available, or a combination of the two. So it's like maybe I should reconsider different. I definitely need a 22. That's not even a question. I need a 22.
Yeah, I probably have 2,000 rounds of 22 right now, which that's going to kind of be my fail-safe. I do want to get a 22 rifle. I used to have one, but I want to get a different one, like an AR style, probably.
Mm-hmm.
For that reason alone, my 22 pistol is modern, and I think I've definitely talked about it on the show before. It's the Taurus TX22, and so even if I just had that in a 22 rifle, is it the best thing in the world? No, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah, which is like
And
kind of like where I'm at right now is like literally nothing, because
yeah,
I have what I have for myself at my house, and that's pretty much it. And every now and
hmm
then I'm able to get my hands on something so I can at least go out and like, do like practice a little bit, but
right. Well, why don't we use this as a segue to talk about? Um, we have a potential stimulus
oh
check
yeah.
situation happening, and if we get what they're saying we're going to get, which is $2,000 a piece, there is your money to either buy a 22 pistol or rifle. Um, I'm fortunate that I used to have a reloading setup that I sold, and I have access to one though. So I think that I think that's actually going to be a skill that a lot of people are going to want to have, like knowing how to press ammo um, for any kind of future issues that we might have. I think ammo is gonna go down,
Yeah,
and
it will. It'll come back down.
probably be before the end of 2021. But in 4 years from now, when we have another election year, it's probably going to be similar
Yes.
to what we experienced in 2020. So get ready for that. That's kind of my point.
Yeah. And
So
that's something
let's
I want to do is I want to get like my own ammo press so doing I can start stockpiling very
yeah.
inexpensive ammunition and like quality ammunition too, like cuz then I don't have to shoot steel case.
Yeah, just having a like for me, like I want to have a stockpile of 1,000 rounds per caliber per gun that I own. So like I've got my well, for me it'd be like my carry gun and my home defense pistol.
Mhm.
1,000 rounds for both of those. 1,000 rounds of 5.56. I have more than 1,000 rounds of 22 now. And maybe I'd bump it up to another 1,000 because my wife's going to end up getting a 9mm carry gun also. So probably like 2,000 of that, 1,000 of 5.56, and 1,000 of 22. That's like the reserve, and then anything else beyond that, I'll just have and I'll make, for myself or whatever. Um, that's kind of what I go by, which is easily doable within the next 4 years to have all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, especially when ammo prices come down and like we start to see stock actually come back and supply is actually there for the demand. It'll be nice. And plus I still think that like a lot of people are going to be turning in their stuff. So like sometime between January to March. So I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of like extra ammunition, extra like guns, and like your like pawn shops and stuff like that. I had to think of the word. I still think that's going to be a thing. And, maybe even not Facebook Marketplace, because I don't think they like allow you to sell that. Like,
Right.
I think you have to be very discreet about it. Like a cardboard box for $50 and you have a
Right.
picture of what it is or
Yeah.
something. Or like Craigslist, check Craigslist,
Arms
keep your
list.
eyes on that kind of stuff.
Arms list.
Yeah, arms list too. Yeah. So keep your eye on
Arms
those
list is the
places.
best way to find local deals on gun related stuff.
Yeah. I really do think
Uh,
it's going to come, there's going to be a lot of, secondhand, I suppose. Not really secondhand because it's not like they're using the bullet and putting it back. I don't know. I can't do words today, man. But you know what I'm talking about. Where like they've already purchased it and they
yeah,
don't want to have it
used.
anymore. Yeah, used, I suppose.
And you can't, usually when you buy a gun from a retailer, you can't return it unless there's like a severe like manufacturer defect or
Mm-hmm.
something. So we can move on though. That's okay. We've talked about guns for the longest uh, time in an episode, I think, which is good and bad. But we can move
Well, there's
on
like
to.
there's a lot of stuff happening right now. Like this, I don't know what it is. Well, I guess it's the Biden switchover or whatever. But
Yeah,
there's a lot happening. So
there is absolutely. But let's switch gears here to your side of things, which is politics. And you said you want to talk about the stimulus check
Yeah,
and
so
other stuff.
both houses of Congress approved the $600 originally,
Hmm.
and fairly, I don't think it was unanimous, but I think it was widespread agreed on. I think it in both houses. I think it was like in excess of 2/3, which is really good. That almost doesn't really happen. So it goes to the president. I don't think the president can really veto it because it was so widely approved in both houses of the of Congress.
Hmm.
So I don't really think the president can like veto it proper. So I think we're seeing like a $600 check first, and then Nancy Pelosi put out on the House floor a bill for $2,000 check per U.S. citizen,
Hmm.
and she's doing a now the article I have up is from the Washington Post. It's literally like less than a paragraph, so it's great for like a quick synopsis. But I have the CNBC article up, which has a larger spectrum of information.
Hmm.
So she put it on the floor, I believe, or she's putting it on the floor today, and then um, hold on, where did it go? She's putting it up for unanimous. What is it? Unanimous consent or unanimous agreement or something like that, where basically, if one person declines it, it just doesn't go to the next part, which is the Senate. But today is the 23rd, and tomorrow's Christmas Eve.
Hmm.
A lot of Republicans aren't going to be in the House. So it's probably going to be approved, at least in the House, and then go straight to the Senate. Mitch McConnell is probably going to have to see it because a few things. The year's coming to an end. They have budget stuff they have to do. Secondly, he has Georgia at risk right now with the two senators there. Because he's a Republican, he needs the Republicans to win. Those senators, by the way, have already said that they're more so in favor of no stimulus check or a very little stimulus check. So Trump coming out and saying that he wants a $2,000 stimulus check per person, $4,000 for a couple, goes against Georgia. So Mitch McConnell might have to save face for Georgia coming up in January by approving something on top of the hasted other hasted aspects of this. The needing to solidify everything for the budget, solidifying everything for year end, preventing a government shutdown, all this stuff. So
Right.
his hands are kind of tied. I think they're just going to see it, and I think they're going to approve it personally. So
Dollar bills,
hopefully,
y'all.
hopefully, that'd be pretty cool. I know a lot of people need it. I know with the original one with the $600 also has a bunch of stuff for like the I think it's increasing the job security thing by $300 per month.
Hmm.
So if you're like out of work and you're on unemployment, I think you're supposed to get the $300 extra. And then
Right.
also, I think there is some stipulations for postponing like rental stuff too and evictions.
Right.
I don't know too many specifics just because technically Trump hasn't signed it into law. Technically. So I don't know how much of this is going to stick to the wall, so to speak. But either way, January, Biden also
You're
wants to do a check.
right.
So no matter how this goes out, how this ends up going about, come January, literally in like 4 weeks from now, we're going to be seeing this talk again. So
Right.
whether it's approved or not, we're going to be seeing this talk again because Biden's already said that he wants to have more out to the people. So, and then at that point, it's going to be a matter of whether or not we won the Senate. If we win the Senate, it's going to be pretty much guaranteed because it's a 50-50 split because the two independents will vote for our side, for the Democrats. And then Kamala Harris has to come in and decide the vote at that point because it's 50-50 split in the Senate. She's obviously going to side with the Democrats and it would approve at that point. So that's why Georgia's so important. Again.
Isn't that nuts, dude? It still blows my mind. I've
Yep.
been watching a little bit about. I watched a little piece of the female candidate. Her name is escaping me now, but she is a piece of human garbage.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Uh, no, the female candidate in Georgia.
Oh, in Georgia, yeah, for the Senate.
For the Senate. She wasn't even, she was appointed. She wasn't elected, first of all. Her husband is the owner of one of the major stock
Oh, I thought
companies.
he was you mean a chairperson or something for the New York Stock Exchange?
No, they own it.
They own
They
it?
they own it. And like she was
Ooh.
like involved in like some like insider trading, like right before COVID
Oh,
hit.
yeah.
Like she sold off a bunch of fucking stocks and
Her net
like
worth
she owned.
exponentially increased once COVID hit.
Oh yeah, and she well, that's the other thing. Just in general, if she gets elected to the Senate, she'll be the highest net worth senator, which is insane. But also, she owns the WNBA team in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's like been nothing but outspoken against like Black Lives Matter and stuff. And like the entire fucking team like played some games like with like some T-shirt on, like basically telling her to go fuck off or
Can
whatever.
you imagine being like a normal person living in the United States in Georgia and you make like 40,000 a year, so you're not making bad money, but you're not making great money. You're just kind of like,
Yeah,
you're in between, but you're living a
right.
pretty decent life, and you vote for someone who's going to be the wealthiest senator in the Senate. Can you
In the
imagine
Senate,
voting for that person, being like, oh yeah, they represent my interests?
right,
Like,
dude.
totally average Joe.
Yeah, it's a shit show, my dude. And I don't know about the other Republican candidate, but John Ossoff and gosh, I should be better with these names. This is why this is your department. I like.
The other GOP. Oh, so I don't know if you're familiar with the whole Ossoff and the other guy. He's like actually evil.
Right.
He's like I would not be surprised if Mitch McConnell died like today, and for some reason this guy was in the Senate, he would be the Senate Majority Leader because he's just like that evil. He gives me really like Palpatine vibes.
Right.
But he completely declined like a second debate with Ossoff or Ossoff. I don't know how to say his name still.
I think it's awesome. John
But he
Ossoff.
completely declined a debate because he got slammed the first time, like so hard. So I hope he just is not going to. I hope he doesn't do anything.
That is insanity. I'm looking this up right now. David Perdue.
Yes, Purdue.
He said he had the debate anyways. He did it like with an empty stage.
Yeah, oh yeah, Ossoff did the debate still. He still was there. He still took questions, but Purdue just didn't show up. He just
Right.
like completely he didn't engage with it at all.
Dude, that's insane.
So
Well, that's what I'm saying is things are looking good for
so
runoff
far,
election.
yes. And I know we probably should talk about this a little bit. Biden a few weeks ago said something along the lines of like, we need to, I don't want to misquote, but I'm paraphrasing, something along the lines of we need to stop talking about defund the police or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Or at least until the Georgia election is done.
Right.
And a lot of people got mad about that because it's such a big issue, and that's very understandable. It's been happening for 70, we've been having this conversation for specifically since the last civil rights movement, which was about 70 years ago now, give it 60, 70 years ago. Or no, that's maybe 50 years ago. But anyway,
Like
But
60 years ago.
yeah, something like that. But the reason I can see why he would want to is because, well, it's a bad slogan. Let's just like be real. Most, like, if you tell a conservative like, "Oh yeah, I want to defund the police," they don't understand the nuance of, well, I don't really want to defund it completely. What I want to do is restructure it so that there's less like direct police funding and there's more funding towards like, psychiatric positions or maybe like therapist positions or people who are more suited for de-escalation and all this kind of stuff and
Right.
community
Just
development.
reforming policies.
Reforming policy, redistributing money, and reallocating funds and stuff. But they don't get that. They just hear you want to live in an anarchist state of pure like chaos and evil and destruction.
Yeah.
So I can
But
understand.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't think. I mean, obviously, I don't think most liberal or left-leaning people want to live without police or without civic services or whatever. There just needs to be a ground up reformation, whatever you want to call it. It's in the name of our fucking podcast. uh, there just needs to be complete ground up, like new training, new ways of doing things. There are so many countries around the world that utilize tactics that are different. And like you said, just like even in Orlando, I think I actually just saw recently that they're going to be introducing legislation to have like for like mental health issues, that like people that are becoming violent, that have mental health issues. They're going to be deploying mental health professionals either alongside the police or even just as standalone units to deal with that kind of stuff, that are armed with like tasers and like obviously like just non-lethal stuff.
So they can still protect themselves, but you don't.
They can still protect
Yeah.
themselves. They don't have to, just murder somebody who's having a psychological episode.
Yeah.
Because that is the thing. It's probably smaller or less likely to happen than violent crime or whatever. But still, it's still an issue. So just stuff like that, like all the little, like you were saying, like all the little tiny details that go into being a police officer and what they're normally tasked with doing in the community.
Yeah.
Needs
Like it's very well known that they are not qualified to handle the vast array of things that they have to deal with in any given community. So, and no single human being can do all those things. Like there's so many different types of training, and like people literally have like 6-year degrees in some of this stuff.
Right.
Because it's like that detailed. It requires that much information.
Right.
But like a conservative's not going to hear that. They're just going to hear defund the police. Oh, okay. Well, you let me know how it goes when you have no guns and the robbers come to your door and you can't call the police. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that.
I know.
Cringe.
It's just such a dismissal of reality.
Yeah.
It's like I don't have like a good way to put it. Like,
Well, it's like we were talking about the ATF, or like they're federal agents, and a lot of these people are like pro blue line, and until it comes time for the federal agent to come to the door to take their guns away, like, buddy, the thin blue line was going to do that anyway if they were told to do so. That's
right.
like the
Because whether you like it or not, whatever. As I mentioned before, I don't think what they're talking about in the ATF right now is going to become law. I don't think they're going to have people, registering their firearms or whatever. I don't think that's going to happen. But in general, if you're faced with, if somebody comes to your house who's a federal agent in any degree, but obviously the ATF would be handling this. Depending on the severity of whatever it is they're investigating, either they're going to show up with one or two people, or they're going to show up with the police as backup. And yeah, it's just crazy right now. It's crazy to think about something like that actually happening.
So, as sucky as it sounds to hear the president say, maybe we should stop talking about defund the police until after January, he's got a little bit of a point with it, because this Senate race really matters a lot. Like like if we don't win the Senate race, we do nothing for 2 years. That's just, and it's going to be back to like executive orders again, which, as we know, is the worst way to do governance. I mean, even Joe Biden said that he like vehemently doesn't want to have to do executive orders, and it's because he knows just as much as we know. As soon as you sign an executive order 4 years later, if it's not you or someone like you in office, someone else is just going to unexecutive order your executive orders, and nothing changed. Nothing was set in stone. So it's like we just need to win it. This is the longest 2 months of my life.
I know. Time just goes by. It's like time goes by slowly, but also like at the same time, like I look at the calendar and I'm like, holy shit, like we've been dealing with COVID for so long.
Yeah.
And, just gun stuff has been annoying the whole fucking year. I'm very much, again, I'm probably going to look back at this podcast and be like, hopefully 2021 ends up being a much better year.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to 2021 for sure. Politically, and just we haven't even really talked about COVID that much. Obviously, the vaccines is out. I've got two good friends of mine that are in the medical community that have already received their vaccines.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And they're talking about they're not having any symptoms or whatever. No soreness at the injection site. Although my one friend does keep on making 5G cell tower jokes.
Is he joking?
No, he's not joking. He actually has a cell tower growing out of his arm at the injection site.
You can't be too sure anymore,
Yeah, exactly. So they've got that's my friend Chris that I just mentioned. He's the one that we're going to be pressing ammo. He works at Orlando Regional Hospital, and so he got the vaccine, and he's said there's no problems with it. At least for him. I know people react differently, but so that's my hope for 2021. I kind of wanted to get what I was saying before towards, we can talk about some resolutions. My hope for 2021 is that the vaccine's going to go out once in the order of like 100 million people get vaccinated, and then obviously more after that. We're going to start to see, the day that the CDC says, we don't have to wear masks anymore, I think is the day we're really going to see a turnaround in, people's mental health, and just, business is starting to come back. And those that have, been able to weather the storm, so to speak. I know there's a lot of people that have still, had a lot of fucking hardship this year. And fortunately for me, my business has stayed relatively, we're safe. I'll say. I'm not going to say that we're doing amazingly well, but we've done okay for ourselves, and we're not in danger of becoming homeless or anything like that. So, but I know a lot of people that have not, or I know there are a lot of people that have not had that much luck. So I'm just really looking forward to that happening. Masks going away, business is starting to come back, et cetera. And that's going to be my hope for 2021. What about for you? What are you looking forward to?
Little claps. Wait.
Thank you.
Pick up on the phone.
I tried to get a little,
Pardon?
emotional, whatever. Just I get a little emotional about it. It's been a really rough year. In general.
It's been a long. Well, it's like thinking back to it. It's like the beginning of this year in January. It's like everybody's fine, and we're just talking. We just started talking about like COVID and everything, and it's like well, we'll see how this goes out. It doesn't seem like it's too bad, and then like it started getting bad like very quickly after that.
Yeah.
And it just kept spreading and spreading in new cases. So my hope for 2021, let's see here. Well, I mean, you already know my position. I think a lot of people are going to be returning their stuff. So like the ammo shortage thing is definitely going to go away. I think it's going to start out in pawn shops. I think it's soon after that going to be more so local online, just because like there's only so much that people are going to be willing to sell their very expensively purchased ammo for. And there's only so much that a pawn shop who is now flooded with supply is going to buy ammo. Like, you know, they're not just going to keep buying like very expensive ammo. So right. At some point there's going to have to be, you know, the supply demand graph, you know,
right.
There is going to be too much supply, but the people don't want to sell it for so much. Some people are going to end up losing money. Sorry for those people, I guess.
Right.
So there's that. I think we can actually look towards gradually moving left now when it comes in terms of the Overton window. Maybe not so much in 2021 necessarily, but I think over the course of maybe like 8 years, I think we have the opportunity to finally shift the Overton window a little bit. We now have something in recent history that we can point to. It's like, hey, yeah, remember that guy that you literally lived through and I literally lived through? He was literally fascistic. Here's a bunch of his policies as it is in a historical context. This is what he was trying to do. This is literally what fascism looks like. Let's maybe look at something else, you know? Maybe we can look this way, just a little to the left. And I think we can use that as a way to like kind of guide people further left. You know, it's hard because leading up to this point, I don't know if you remember the rhetoric surrounding the presidential election, but like the word fascism or fascist was like being thrown around a lot leading up to the 2016 election. And it kind of like killed the word a little bit because like it like numbed people, you know? Well, now it's, I feel like I can say this with certainty. It's no longer numbing. I think people actually realize the potential of what that word means. And we don't have to point back to like comparing, you know, whoever to Hitler. Now we can look back and compare people to Trump, you know?
Well, there's definitely different flavors of fascism.
Yeah. It's not all the same, but they're very similar. So I think that's what, maybe not necessarily exactly 2021, but I think the near future. I think there's potential now, you know?
Yeah.
And, another thing, the National Interstate Compact, I think one of the last few states finally approved it. I have to go back and check. There might be a couple referendums going on. I think Colorado might have one. But we might be looking at presidential elections just being default Democrat at this point.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the.
We did an episode a while back. It was the compact for the states where they would assign all of their electoral college votes to the candidate who won.
Okay, right. I do. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember.
I think I might be wrong because they're pending right now, but I think the last few states might have signed on to that. So. And if not, we have like one or two more states I think we have to do. I'd have to double check on that. But that's like way closer now than it was before. So maybe next 4 years from now, we don't even have to worry about really a Republican. And that's like one of the first steps to like basically kicking Republicans out of power is, you know, getting the parts of the federal government, you know, actually under a consistent party control. So things are starting to look up. And then after that, you know, gerrymander the House, because the Republicans have been doing it. You know, Democrats should be doing it too. They should gerrymander and guarantee their seat. Might as well. It's legal. You can do it now. Might play dirty, and then from there, now we just got to deal with the Senate, and then done deal. And then that's that. And then we can finally start moving forward, consistently.
And then Gabe's going to run for city council position and flip Palatka.
No. That ain't happening anytime soon.
You got my vote.
Changing the Overton window would help a lot, because you can't even talk about just basic Keynesian economic stuff. That's literally capitalism. You can't even talk about that without people calling you a socialist. My dude, that's literally capitalism. It's not even socialism yet. It's just, they're just redistributive policies so you can support a decent worker base, because if you don't have people who are able to consume, all of a sudden your economy implodes.
Right.
But you can't even have that conversation. You can't even have an actual capitalist conversation, because the thought is just oh, that's socialism, because the Overton window is so far right now. So that's my hope for the future, I suppose, the near future, kind of 2021, but not really 2021.
2021 and beyond.
Yeah, 2021 and beyond.
Yeah. All right, I'll go ahead and give you a clap on that. All right, my man. Well, it looks like we are about there with time. So I just wanted to go ahead and say again, thanks for everybody that has listened to us in the past several weeks. Another plan of mine is just to expand our listenership and really get on the socials and try to expand our visual whatever on the internet. But of course, we're grateful for everybody that's listened so far and everything. So we're going to leave it there and say thanks. And I wish everybody that's listening a happy rest of the holiday season and New Year's and all that kind of stuff. Stay safe, mask up, sanitize, whatever. You can still party and have a good time, but do it in a safe way. Of course, that's what I plan on doing at least as well. And I guess we'll call it there, and we'll probably have another podcast within the next couple of weeks. The first week in January will probably be our next recording, and we'll leave it there.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.